Hello, my name's Slade, welcome to alexslade.com, and today I'm going to be reviewing this, the Nikon 70-200mm f2.8 version 1 lens. Now the first thing I want to talk about with this lens is why I brought it. And the reason I brought it is because I do a lot of sports-based photography, be it on the water or sort of anything like that really, so obviously it's not qualified or classed as a waterproof or water-resistant lens, but the professional build quality is something that I really went for, because it's going to get thrown around a bit, the occasional splash on waves, bad weather, wind, all sorts, and that's the reason I brought it. And that obviously brings me on to the build quality of this lens. It's a full metal build, which again is something that I really like in this lens, compared to other cheaper zoom lenses like the 70-300, things like that. So I mean, it's a really solid built lens. You can drop it, bash it around, things like that, and it will survive a beating. The reason I brought this over something like the 70-300 is for the fast aperture, and obviously I wanted to spend all my money on a good lens to get sharp images and things like that. So I didn't want to break out all my money on an expensive camera to push the ISOs, things like that, for faster shutter speeds. And having the 2.8 really helps get those faster shutter speeds with lower ISOs, so you can keep less grain in the image, things like that. Now, although it only goes up to 200mm compared to the 300, that doesn't really doesn't bother me too much, because I shoot on a D7000, which is what this video is filming on now. So obviously it has a crop sensor, so it actually equivalates to a 300mm f2.8, which is about £6,000 give or take. I mean, I could be wrong there. Whereas for 1,500 quid for the brand new version, or for this one, the version 1, I got this for just under £1,000. You can sort of save yourself a lot of money doing it that way, and obviously with teleconverters, things like that, you can bring it up to a very long focal length and still keep a constant aperture of f4 to 5.6, depending on what teleconverter you buy. Just let that Jetson go past. Now, one of the things you hear a lot of people ask about with these lenses is obviously how sharp is it compared to the newer version. Now, see, I'll throw some test photos up there for you. I can't compare it to the newer version because I don't own it, but it's a very, very, very sharp lens. I mean, with this lens, the main difference between this one and the newer version is sharpness in the corners, and also a bit of vignetting. Obviously, that doesn't affect me, and you won't see it on the sample pictures because I shoot on a crop sensor, and therefore, obviously, it only takes the center portion of the lens. But that is one main difference. So obviously in the centre of the image it's going to be nice and sharp and crisp. Obviously with the 2.8 you're going to get a nice shallow depth of field again, which really helps. But I mean, step this down to 5.6 and you're going to get a really, really sharp, crisp image. I can't even think of the depth of field. If you're shooting, I don't know, if I was shooting back at you, it's about 3 meters. f5.6 from here at 200, you're probably going to get 3 or 4 centimeters sort of depth of field, which is really, really nice on this camera. And obviously you can't see, but behind you it just goes on and on and on for a good 200 meters or so, so you're going to get really nice soft bokeh from it as well. And obviously the bokeh from this is very good. It has a 9-bladed rounded aperture, which also really helps. One thing I really like about this lens compared to the newer version is it has these 3 buttons. I don't know if you can see them from where you are. It's quite a wide angle lens I'm filming on, but it has 3 buttons around the edge, there, and there. What these allow you to do is lock the focus, so you can obviously press half shutter on the shutter button, or press the AF on button on the back, depending on what camera you have, and obviously that will focus. And then instead of using the AE or AF lock button on the back of your camera, you can press one of these buttons and it will hold the focus so you can recompose your shot, things like that, which I think is really handy. And obviously if you're shooting from the tripod foot and you have the lens in portrait mode, there's buttons here for any shooting position, upside down, back to front. So it's a really, really handy feature that they added to this lens. Now another main thing I really like about this lens is also the fact that because it's slightly older than the newer version, no expense has really been spared. So all the numbers and all the dials, etc., they've all been engraved with sort of a white paint added into them. So I mean, they're not going to rub off. You can rub these as hard as you like because they've been engraved into the metal. You're always going to have your numbers there. It's going to last a long, long time. I mean, I got this one second hand. Didn't say how old it was before, I need to check actually, but I mean, the guy who I bought it from said he'd used it a lot. It wasn't professional use, but there's a lot of use, and I mean, no marks on it. There's a few scuffs around the tripod foot, which you'd expect, obviously, if it's been used in the tripod a lot, but other than that, I mean, it's lasted really, really well. Again, it also has a rubber lens seal on the back, so obviously Nikon don't class it as water resistant. But this obviously helps keep out dust, moisture, things like that. You can submerge it in a bath, but I don't really think there is any lenses you can do that with. The next thing I'd like to talk about this lens is the VR, or the vibration reduction as Nikon calls it. Now this is a version 1 of this lens, so the VR1, and I can't honestly remember off the top of my head how many stops it gives you, so I'll write that in also in the video as you see it now. And now this works really well on this lens. It's controlled by 2 switches here. Again, I'll put a close-up photo here just so you know what I'm talking about. You have the VR on and off switch, which is simply slide across, and you also have 2 modes, normal and active. Now normal is what you use on a tripod basically, so it allows you, what it does, it will stabilise the image in the vertical direction. So if you're on a tripod and you're videoing, for instance, and you're panning with the lens, what this allows you to do is get a smooth pan without any sort of distortion from the VR trying to work against your pan. The active mode, on the other hand, controls it in all axes, so if you're bouncing around, for instance for me on a boat, obviously in big seas, things like that, you're going to be bouncing around all over the place. Having that on just really allows you to keep the centre portion of the lens just a little bit more steady, so it allows you to perhaps slow your shutter speeds down, things like that, and for video it really helps keep a nice stable shot so you don't just get a horrible load of mush. Now speaking of these switches on the side, again I'll put a photo up so you can see what I'm talking about. There's a top switch which goes from manual, obviously manual focus, which is adjusted by this very large zoom ring up here, and you can slide that across to manual auto. Now what that means is that the lens is in autofocus mode, so you press the shutter button or the AF on button and the lens is going to focus, but it also means that you can overwrite it. So if you think the lens is misfocused, you can grab the lens, the focus ring, turn it, and it will obviously manual focus and it will save where you left it. You can press the shutter all the way down and snap the shot. The button underneath that allows you to reduce the focal range between what the lens focuses from full, so that's infinity to 1.5 meters, down to infinity to 2.5 meters. This is really handy for sports and things like that, where your subject is going to be further than 2.5 meters away, because it means that your lens is going to be a lot quicker focusing because it's not having to hunt as much. And obviously focusing that close, less than 2.5 meters, very shallow depth of field, the lens kind of struggles a bit to really accurately get the focus there, whereas further away it's going to be a lot quicker, faster, and therefore you can get the shot that you really want when you press the button. My overall view of this lens is that it was definitely worth the money. I mean, I saved myself about £600 from buying the newer version to buying the VR1, and I mean I can't knock it. Obviously I haven't compared the two, but for what I use it for, I mean I wouldn't call myself a professional, but I make money, it's my only job, and being able to rely on a lens like this is really useful. I mean, not too much more else to say about this lens really. I mean it's a Nikon professional grade lens. They stopped producing it 2007, I'm going to take a guess at, but obviously I'll add that on the video as well. So I mean this lens could be 6 years old, it could be a lot older than that. Either way it's still working fine. I have never had a problem with it. It's never really missed focus. I mean in low light situations obviously you have to be a bit careful. But other than that, I mean it works fine. Stop it down to 5.6, you're going to get some super sharp shots. And video as well. I'd only ever done video from a GoPro camera, and obviously when I brought my D7000 it gave me the option to do the video on there. So being able to do video on such a long, fast lens, you get some really cool effects, which I'll demonstrate at the end of this video. I'll just film a few shots with the various focal lengths, so you can just see kind of what effect you can get. Okay, so here's a test video of the Nikon 70 to 200mm video. Now I have the focal length set to 200mm and an aperture of f2.8, and I currently have the lens focused as close as it can go. Now this is basically just to show you kind of the video effects you can create with the soft bokeh and things like that. So if I start focusing it now, and I mean I've already focused quite a lot, and you can only just start to see the details appear. Now look at that. I mean these grasses are probably 4 meters away, and I mean I've got them nice and crispy sharp, and now missed it a little bit and come back. I mean if you were to carry on going all the way through, and you can see the caravan park in the distance, look how soft and how good the bokeh is on those grass, sort of grasses I guess. And if I carry on going all the way to infinity, I mean even the caravans, so they've got to be a good 200-300 meters from where I am, and I mean you can get them nice and out of focus as well. Obviously if I bring it right the way back, I mean you can see just the effect you can create.
One final test I thought I would do would be a handheld test. Now, this is me hand holding, no rig, anything like that, so one hand on the lens, one hand on the camera body. And the VR is currently on. Now it's a bit shaky because I'm crouching down quite low. Obviously you can still obtain focus nice and well. Obviously that's high tide behind. So I mean you can really kind of lock focus very well with this lens. With the VR on, I mean this is at 200mm at f2.8 and you can see it's a really stable image considering that I am focused at about 3 meters away, and I mean I'm merely able to get a reasonably, I could probably use this, I mean it's a nice stable shot. However, if I just turn the VR off and show you what that's like, I mean you can see it's just a lot more jerky, and considering this is a VR1 lens, I mean I really can't knock it.
Now one last test I'd quickly like to add in is just the focus speed. I've managed to mess this out before. So if you have the lens set to 70mm and go from minimum focus to focus, and it is this quick. Focus took the shot, and then from infinity to where we're focused, it took the shot. And now if we zoom it all the way to 200, it'll be slightly slower. So if we do it from minimum focus again, and took the shot, so again nice and quick, and then from infinity again, and we've got the shot. So as you can see, it's a very quick and fast focusing lens. Just thought I'd do a quick demo of what it's like being using this lens for videoing people. Now this is at 200mm as well, f2.8. Now I may be slightly out of focus because I've had to focus on a light stand, and my head's a bit wider than a light stand, but fingers crossed I'm in focus, I can dart back and forwards. But I mean you can just see the effect you get with the bokeh in there's such a shallow depth of field. If I start to walk backwards out of frame, you can see I'm either out the frame or I've completely come out of focus. Now I think I've come back into focus, but yeah, you can really see the video effect. So anyway, I'm Alex Slade from alexslade.com, and this brings to the end my review of the Nikon 70-200mm f2.8 version 1 lens.